All right, finally. I'm so surprised every time it works. It's like
Right.
the joys of live streaming. Okay, so here we go.
Yeah.
Let's do a little intro.
You are listening to Musician Today, weekly podcast with Vera Bermenko. Tune in for your insight into a professional musician's life and awesome new music.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another awesome episode of Musician Today podcast. Today, we bring you an amazing artist, HAYDN VITERA. Since launching his solo career in 2005 as a former asleep at the wheel fiddle player and Austin Latino Rocker electric violinist, HAYDN VITERA has made his mark sharing the stage with headliners as diverse as Grammy winners, Los Lonely Boys, Rock En Español pioneers, oh my god. Los Entan and Nani and oh my god. It's
Enanitos.
funny. Enanitos. I did it. It's been a long
There you
week,
go.
guys.
You got it.
Los Enanitos Verdes. Woohoo! And the 80s rock legends Dokken. His music has been featured in various on-screen projects, including Robert Rodriguez's From Dusk Till Dawn, the series. He has been featured on stage with the legendary George Strait and the iconic Stevie Wonder, and most recently has joined the Electrify Your Strings program as an artist mentor, traveling nationwide to empower and expand the horizons of middle school and high school orchestra students, along with the program creator Mark Wood, the electric violin visionary and the co-founder member of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. So you can find HAYDN on his awesome website at viterarocks.com, on Facebook /ViteraRocks, on Instagram at /HAYDN VITERA, on Twitter at /HAYDN VITERA, and on YouTube, just look him up by HAYDN VITERA, electric violinist. He's awesome. Hi, how are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
It's so great to
Happy.
have you here today.
It's Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, right, it is. I lose track of these holidays. Yesterday was the fourth Be With You, and today is Cinco de
Right,
Mayo.
exactly.
Yeah, you too. Thanks so much. Thanks for spending it with us.
Yeah. It's going to be a quiet one this year for sure.
Yeah, oh, that's okay. Doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be. I'm hearing a lot of great stuff from what you're doing, and I know you just
Yeah.
did some live streams and loving everything. So thanks for taking the time to do this. We would love
Thank
to
you.
learn more about your music. This is the best opportunity to do that. So, what can you tell us? How did you evolve into the musician you are today? What helped you shape your style?
Really well. I mean, I grew up in a small town called El Campo, Texas, which is my dad was a rice farmer. Um,
Nice.
and so we grew up. I mean, didn't like live on the farm or anything like that, but yeah, we would go and we would work cows and mend fences and harvest rice and stuff. So I grew up a lot around the country aspect of life, right? And of course, country music. Of course, in high school, I wanted to be anything but a country guy. I wanted, you rebelling and everything, and
Yeah.
everybody around there was wearing, cowboy hats, listening to George Strait and whatever was big at the time, and I was listening to Metallica and Pantera and had my little garage band, rock and roll, and trying to grow my hair past where they would let it touch the collar in school. Um, so got there, and then I moved out of there. I came to Austin, Texas, where I still live, and just started going and check out all the awesome bands that are around here, and got influenced by the original like Texas rock bands and Texas blues, and just the great Austin style music, that kind of blends everything. I was at school studying to be an accountant of all things. I'm glad that didn't work out. But then lo and behold, I started playing in some country bands and stuff, and that kind of went that path with because I figured, well, the violin, all right, I'm gonna play some fiddle and play with these bands and have fun. Um, yeah, and then I guess my first pro gig was with a guy named Rick Trevino, who's a Grammy-winning artist from Columbia Records, and he's done a lot of cool stuff, and he's still out there doing a lot of cool things. Got my chance, and that was '97 when I joined his band, and got on the tour bus, and experience that whole life. It pretty much scarred me for life because that's all I want to do now. I want to get back on the tour bus.
That's amazing. Yeah.
But I want it to be, I want it to be my tour bus. You know, I don't want to be somebody else's tour bus. That's no fun. You know. But yeah, just that kind of mix of. So I did the country thing for a long time, and kind of throughout my 20s, I was touring, and then I've always still been. I was always the kind of the odd man out in the country bands because I was the rock guy and the Latino dude. You know.
Yeah.
So I love Latin rock and I love metal. Later on, I finally kind of involved. My brother and I started writing songs, Spanish rock songs, and kind of went down that, and then got the Markwood Viper, started mixing all that together, and here we are.
That's awesome. I love that. I'm getting my Viper in a few months. It's in
yes.
already. 7 strings.
What did you get? How many strings?
7 strings.
Yes.
Yeah. Phantom frets, because I wasn't sure if I should. I've never tried frets, so my next one will probably be fretted because I've been thinking about it while I'm waiting for my Viper.
Oh yeah, no, have at it. Yeah, it's good. I mean, if you're moving towards, I started with a 6-string fretted. Mm-hmm. That was my first one. But looking back, I wish I would have got the 7 right away. Yeah. Because I have a 7 now, and it's awesome. You know, I like the frets just because they don't interfere with the way you play. Yeah. But they give you especially for when you're using distortion, a lot of rock stuff. They give you that extra punch, that kind of squeal on harmonics and stuff. Oh, I love it.
I love that too. Amazing. Well, why don't we just have a listen to one of your songs then? So the first one I'm going to play is the Canción del Mariachi.
Yeah, so very excited about that. That's actually its world premiere today. It's being released today, so I'm honored to have it here with you. This is my main side. I do a lot of different projects. Obviously, I'm what we call a hired gun here in Texas, you know, and I play for a lot of people, and you know, I'm a mercenary basically. You know what I mean? But I love it because it keeps things. I play everything from country to rock to Latin to flamenco, and it keeps it interesting. You know how it is. You're a working musician, right? Yeah. But my passion project right now is this new band I have called Tequila Rock Revolution. And if you can picture, basically take Trans-Siberian Orchestra and make them in Mexico. Ooh. So it's mariachi with metal. So we're taking like kind of the standards and the classics from the mariachi repertoire and metalizing with double kick and shredding guitars and of course electric violin. This particular track is a cover of. There's a very famous movie called Desperado by Robert Rodriguez that featured Antonio Banderas. You know, he's a mariachi with a guitar case full of guns, right? And Salma Hayek, you know. So that song, even though that song was written by Cesar Rosas from Los Lobos, it sounds like a traditional. Everybody thinks it's an old mariachi song from Mexico, but it's not. It was written for that movie, right? Well, it's such an iconic thing. It's become basically just like any other mariachi tune. All the mariachis play it. It's a standard, right? Mm-hmm. So we decided we were going to metalize it. We have a special guest on this recording. His name is Gabriel Guardian. And I don't know if you've ever seen that guy, but he is the ultimate. He shreds guitar and keyboards at the same time. And he's so unbelievable that like he's done cover videos of like he did one of Sweet Child of Mine and Guns N' Roses posted it on their page, right? Like check him out, Gabriel Guardian. He's unbelievable. Has a band called Immortal Guardian, and they're like super metal, right? Like speed metal, beyond human capabilities metal, right? We were working together on doing like just a collaboration, just jamming one afternoon, and he said, "You know what we should do? Wouldn't it be cool if we took like a mariachi song and made it metal?" And at this point, I'd already started Tequila Rock Revolution. We had already had a recording, and I said, "Oh, like this," and I played it for him. He's like, "Dude, you already did it." I'm like, "Yeah, well, let's do something, you know," because he grew up playing mariachi in South Texas, right? So he loves it as well and has a knowledge of it. So I said, "Well, which song are we gonna do?" Canción del Mariachi. It's a given. So you'll hear all the guitar work is Gabriel, and it's unbelievable. It's very exciting. So it's a version you've never heard before. So
that's awesome. That's what we like to hear on our show.
Definitely.
Here we go. Here's Canción del Mariachi.
Oui.
Soy un hombre muy honrado que me gusta mejor. Las mujeres no me faltan, ni el dinero ni el amor. Jineteando en mi caballo por la sierra yo me voy. Las estrellas y la luna ya me dicen dónde voy. Ay, 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 mi amor. Ay, mi morena de mi corazón. Me gusta tocar guitarra, me gusta cantarle al sol. El mariachi me acompaña cuando canto mi canción. Me gusta tomar mis copas, aguardientes, lo mejor. También el tequila blanco con su sal le da sabor. Ay, 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 mi amor. Ay, mi morena de mi corazón. Ay, 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 mi amor. Ay, mi morena de mi corazón. Me gusta cantar el son. Mariachi me acompaña cuando canto mi canción. Me gusta tomar mis copas, aguardientes, lo mejor. También el tequila blanco con su sal le da sabor. Ay, 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 amor. Ay, mi morena de mi corazón. Ay, 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 mi amor. Ay, mi morena de mi corazón.
That was epic. So, guys,
Thank
Gabriel
you.
Guardian, Hayden Vitera, and Cassandra Sotos. Awesome,
That's
awesome
right.
epic solos. Love them all. And this is kind of like in my really main interest too. Because what I love is combining rock, metal, symphonic stuff with sort of like more folk cultural, yeah, a bit more
Yeah.
Eastern influence as well. And this just blew my mind. You're right, it's so unique. I've never heard it be in that context.
Yeah, it's fun. It's amazing how well the stuff works together, you know. Especially that kind of 3/4, 6/8 mariachi kind of thing. The
Oh
first the
yeah.
first single that we did was El Cascabel, which is a traditional mariachi standard, a showpiece. And I remember hearing the song way back when, and just the opening of it has this vihuela. Vihuela is this small, sort of like the mariachi. It's more functions as sort of the snare drum of mariachi, right? Because they've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
and this when they hit the guitar, right? Which is a super cool technique I've been working on as well. But the opening, I was like, dude, you could put that with some double kick drum and some muted Marshall guitars. It's like, man, we went in to record it, that first single, and you never know if it's what's in your head is actually going to translate to working, right? Because the mariachi players, the ebb and flow, the tempo's up and down like it should be, you know, and then in metal, where you're playing with the click track in the
Yeah.
studio, you know, and then some of the accents that the mariachis do are kind of on that different beat, and so it took a while to kind of, it was like wrangling a wild bull or something, you know, like you have to kind of tame it, you know, but once it locked in, it was just like, oh yeah, this is gonna be something pretty cool, and the playing it live is so much fun. There's nothing like it. I found my calling for sure.
That's amazing. We have some comments from Eddie. It says awesome. Fred says super. Thank you guys. Thanks for listening. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
it is amazing. I wonder, how do you go about creating a piece like this? So like you said, there was some conflict putting in different accents because of different styles, different highlights in music. I totally understand what that's like.
Right.
So how do you go about creating a track like that? Do you have like a rhythmic sort of foundation first? Do you write all the bass and drums and then you sort of see what you can improv on top? Like how do you do it?
Well, basically, we've been doing these tracks is we have the reference recording. I send the original mariachi version to everybody, right? And then there have been a few other, I know, like with El Cascabel, a great band called Chingon, which right is Robert Rodriguez, the director of Desperado, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, all that. He'll join this. There's an awesome band called Del Castillo, which is amazing, like Latin rock kind of. They're more kind of flamenco-ish, right? They have these two shredding guitar players, a great kind of almost like a Gypsy Kings kind of vocal guy. They were here in Austin. Robert saw them live and then started collaborating with them. So they had a bunch of their music in Once Upon a Time in Mexico. And they did El Cascabel. They did some of these like Malagueña Salerosa. They did those and they rocked it out, but they didn't go all the way metal, right? So we listened to that. And then actually there's a version of Malagueña, which is another very famous mariachi piece that Avenged Sevenfold did. So it's very cool, right? So we basically took you come up with the arrangement. Where's the intro verse chorus? We just followed pretty much the original Antonio Banderas recording, right? And then we lay down just a scratch acoustic with a vocal. And then we brought in, the drums and the bass, and everybody just kind of makes up their part on the fly, right? And we jam it for a little while and go, okay, that's working, that's not working. Especially with the mariachi rhythms and stuff. It's like, okay, we had to. When in doubt, we deferred more to the metal, straight rock kind of thing, as opposed to the way that mariachis do it, right? Because drums don't really work with that. You've got to have with mariachi, you got to let it flow and change. And with this, it's got to be kind of the same every time, But that's the way we did it. And then we figured out how the drums and bass would work together. Gabriel came in and laid down the guitars, and I got to tell you, on this track, it was actually the drummer from Immortal Guardian at the time. His name is Cody Gilliand, right? That guy. Keep in mind, there's crazy speed metal stuff going on in this track, right? Keep in mind that we had to tell Gabriel and Cody to dial it down about 20 notches because they started doing stuff where we're like, hey man, like normal humans have to play this live, so like. You need to, and we like brought it, and it's like I'll be posting some behind the scenes videos too. So I got video of Cody's feet playing those double kick patterns, and it was like Fred Flintstone on steroids, man. It's like, man, how do you do that, dude? It just the unbelievable precision that he has, and of course Gabriel on guitar. I mean, watching him lay down all the parts and just kind of orchestrate everything on the fly was just like, dude, that's so epic.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love how stuff like that comes together. So it's, for me, I find it difficult to find the balance between what I wanted, to incorporate like metal versus something folky. How do you, where's that middle ground where they keep
right?
That's always difficult. But you also want to give moment to each of them to shine. So like have a solo here, have a solo
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the constant thing. It's a push and pull between honoring the tradition of the purity of the traditional music that you're doing, but also making it work and have the right energy of metal and rock, right?
Definitely. All right. Why don't we have a listen to La Vibora? I really love that one. It kind of starts it starts a little bit more subtle, but then it gets it gets
kind of a little atmospheric intro. That one the literal translation in Spanish is the Viper, La Víbora, right?
Nice.
So I wrote that after getting my first wood violins Viper, and I'm proud to tell you that since I met Mark Wood and started working with him, I worked with Electrify Your Strings. He actually liked it enough to orchestrate it and add it to the program. So imagine I get to play this around the country with hundreds of orchestra students, and they love it. They get the headbang and they throw down, and man, it's a dream come true because you're sitting there playing, you know, you're the featured guy with the orchestra, and there's all these kids just playing, so excited about playing something that you created, you know, for this amazing instrument that was a dream of mine to own from the very first time I ever heard Mark Wood, you know. So it's pretty magical, man. I had to step back and remind myself how lucky I am to have done that. And this year we're celebrating really the 10th anniversary of the release of that tune, because it was on my debut album from my band Vitera back in 2010. So we're gonna remake it with Tequila Rock Revolution, adding some trumpets and some crazy. We're gonna see how we change it up and do the 10th year anniversary of La Vibora for you.
Ooh, that's awesome. Let's have a listen. awesome. He's got such a unique voice to it. Like you can definitely see it like a snake viper. Snake.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
And at the same time, I can sort of feel the influence of Mark Wood. It does remind me of his stuff.
Yeah, you know what? You know what's funny? I realized after creating um, that middle section where it's like a 5/8 kind of
That's
thing,
my favorite. I was just gonna say
right?
it.
I completely, without intending to, ripped off Mark Wood's Sawdust.
Oh yeah.
Ding 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 ding. And I went, of course, you create and you're ripping off everything you've ever,
Yeah.
I was a big 80s rock guy. So when I'm writing stuff and next thing I look back and go, where did I get that idea? Oh, that was Whitesnake. Oh, that was
Yeah, yeah,
Tesla
same
or
here.
whatever. And but that's how music is.
Hmm.
But yeah, I remember he telling me a funny story too. He's like when they were creating when they were working on when he was working on the orchestration for La Vibora, right? He had this track playing, right? And his son Elijah, who's the amazing drummer, Shania Twain, and all kinds of people, Gwen Stefani, incredible drummer, was walking by the studio in the living room or wherever in the hallway, and he's like, "Hey, that's just like sawdust." And Mark's like, "Oh, yeah, it kind of is." And I was like, Mark, I said, "I'm sorry, dude. I didn't mean to rip that off." But he's like, "No, dude, I love it. It's an honor. So,
Yeah.
but you got a good ear. That's exactly what you're hearing.
Yeah, that's
In
true.
fact, I highly recommend people go check out Sawdust for Mark Wood, which is unbelievable.
Do side by side comparison.
Yeah, I put it. Yeah, and then next thing it'll be a copyright suit. You know what I mean?
Well, I think there's some things that are just so iconic for the style that
Sure.
even if they do sound similar, like you can't judge someone based on that because it's just it has to be there. It belongs with
Sure.
the genre. Yeah. So I think this is
Well,
one of those moments. Yeah.
it's just like when you think about. I saw a video the other day of the guy named Rick Beato. He's like I don't know if you watch him on YouTube, but he's like a all-around music guy, an older gentleman, and he does a lot of instructional videos. He's so knowledgeable. Instructional videos on everything from recording to music theory to guitar. He plays all instruments. He did a little segment on copyright suits and stuff, and the one where now Ed Sheeran is being sued by one of the writers of "Let's Get It On,"
Yeah.
the Marvin Gaye classic, for copyright infringement for thinking out loud, right? The way those chord changes go, and he put them side by side.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's the same, basically it's the same kind of chord progression, the same kind of groove. But if you could copyright a groove, then it's okay. Me coming from the country world, or a blues song, you know what I mean? Like the 1-4-5, who's going to own that? You're going to tell me I have to pay to use the 1 to 12 bar blues progression? You know what I mean? It's total BS.
No, yeah, that's just too much.
Yeah, just things are iconic, and they're a standard of
Yeah.
genres. I mean, and like with that tune, with Thinking Out Loud and Let's Get It On, it may be the same chord progression, which is 4 chords. I mean, put 4 chords together, but the melody's completely different. The lyrics are different. How can you claim that you stole it? That's just, yeah, that's ridiculous.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
But
true. So
I
a
don't think
few
Mark Wood will
things.
be coming after me anytime soon, so it's all good.
Well, I love it. I love all the music, and I wonder though if you would be up for a little game. So we've been
Sure.
talking so much about your music, which is awesome, awesome. So I
Well, I
have
appreciate it.
something in mind here. It's sort of like a rapid fire, where I play a backing track that counts down 1 minute exactly, and
Okay.
we have to try to manage to answer 10 questions in under that minute.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Sure. Just with whatever comes to mind, or what?
Yeah, it could be the first thing, could be whatever comes to mind, could be like it could be just genuinely what you think of that. Like some questions are kind of silly, others are more serious, but
Okay.
let's see how we can get through this.
Is
Okay.
this we got to keep this G-rated, PG-13? What do we got to do?
You know, I think either is fine.
Okay, because you don't know
So
how my mind works sometimes.
yeah,
So
yeah, that's okay. That's kind of
I'll
the
keep it at
point.
a mid-level,
Yeah, the
NC-17 maybe.
point is to sort of try to give the first genuine answer without thinking too hard.
Okay.
Okay. So
Sounds
I'm
good.
going to say 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to go ahead and read the first question. Are you ready?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay. 1. What was the most memorable performance you did?
It's Stevie Wonder, April of 2015, Austin, Texas.
Awesome. At what age did you pick up violin?
8.
All right. What are the names of your pets?
I don't have any pets.
All right. Violin, acoustic or electric?
Electric all the way.
What motivates you? In short.
Fame and fortune.
Okay. Which YouTuber you can't stop watching?
Rick Beato.
All right. Your favorite songs to cover? Name 3.
Canción del Mariachi.
Okay. Name 3 people you admire.
Cassandra Sotos, Mark Wood, and my mom.
All right. Dogs or cats?
What's that?
Dogs or cats?
Oh, dogs.
Name
Cats
3
are the devil.
artists you follow on Instagram.
Mark Wood, Ernesto Lago, Cassandra Sotos.
Oh my God, you made it!
Yeah!
Well, to be fair, you only named 1 song out of 3 that you like to cover.
Oh, I didn't hear the 3 part, but.
But you did it! Wow! Congratulations! You're the
All
first
right.
person to actually make it in under a minute since
Oh, very
I
cool.
started this podcast.
All right.
So,
Good.
as a special winner, you do get a prize. This
Oh, really?
is my newly released album, Iron Fiddle
Oh,
Saga.
awesome.
This is kind of gypsy-inspired, Eastern European sort of crossover into rock and symphonic metal with some
Okay.
cinematic music in there as well. So I would like you to have this, and
I'm
just
honored.
after the show, I'll be happy to ship this to you.
That'd be great. Yeah, I love that artwork. I saw
Thank
that
you.
photo
Oh,
on
thank
your
you.
on
And
your.
it's signed too, so let me show you. It's signed there. My signature, my
Oh,
mastering
very
engineer
cool.
signed it, so we're all good.
Awesome. I'll add it to my collection. That'd be a great addition for sure.
Wow, so congratulations.
And maybe maybe we get this cultural metal thing going, and then we can do a show together, Tequila Rock Revolution, and your project.
I would love that. I totally
I'll
love
book
that.
it. I'll book it here. You book it up there, and let's do it.
Yeah.
International,
Let's do
baby.
it. We're just waiting for this quarantine to finish because we want to do concert series too. So yeah.
For sure.
Meanwhile,
Well, anything I can do to facilitate you playing down here, let me know. I'm all about it.
that's awesome. I would love that. Thank you. So yeah, let me know what you think of the music too when you get this.
I can't wait.
Cool. Wow, I'm so excited. We haven't had a person win, like genuinely win.
Right, winning. Good.
I know. So, okay, before we move on to the end, I wanted to ask you something for the younger musicians. So, if you were to give maybe a younger self an advice or a younger artist that you meet today, what would be the one thing you tell them that they should be sort of doing in order to succeed in their career, to find their true path and voice in their music? What would you tell them?
Well, I would say just do what feels right to you, and don't think about, like, if I could go back, I wouldn't have gone to school for business, for accounting, because I didn't even finish, but I had that in my mind, like, oh, I better get a real degree to fall back on. Or so in the minute that you do that, you're not showing a lot of faith in your own ability. And I always loved music. That was my passion. But everybody tells you, man, you got to have a backup plan. You got to play it safe. No, you don't. How this world is too full of people who start it. Guess what happens? You start that way. You have this dream. It's like, hey, I'm just going to do this accounting thing just to put food on the table. That's exactly what I used to think. And next thing you know, you're 50 and you're an accountant and you've got the wife and the 2.5 kids and the white picket fence and the boat, and you get vacation 2 weeks every year. But guess what? You're buying all the expensive guitars you can on the weekend, and they sit in your living room, and you dream of the day that you thought that you really wanted to do music. And you forget, and you become something else because you didn't follow that. And I think people just in general they follow money and security so much that they forget to follow what they truly makes them alive, and they end up just living a robotic life. You may have everything that society says that you are supposed to have by the time you're this. You're supposed to have this many kids. You're supposed to have a house. You're supposed to have this. Well, guess what? Then you have all this stuff, and you didn't. And then none of it makes you happy. If you're living for the weekend, right, or living for the day that you get vacation or retirement, wake up, because you ain't living. You know what I mean? Now, given I live for the weekend because that's when I work, when I play on the weekend. So, but yeah, that's what I would say. Just don't do stuff for money. You know, that may be trite, but it's really true. Because if you have the talent and the drive and the passion for something, and you follow it, you have the courage to follow it, and you'll put in the work. That's the thing. You can't just say, well, I have these great dreams, and I'm just going to sit here and hope something happens. If you put in the work and you really dedicate yourself to that, you will find the way. It may not be exactly how you think it's going to pan out, right? Like I'm 46 right now. When I was 20 and I was in college, I was like, oh, or let's say when I started playing with Rick Trevino in the country band, 22, 23 years old, got on a tour bus, I thought, all right, eventually, you know, in the next 10 years, I'm going to be freaking rock star and all this stuff, you know. I never thought I'd be working with student orchestras. I never thought I would be doing mariachi metal. I never thought I would work with Mark Wood. I never thought I'd be doing a cool podcast about just electric violin. You know what I mean? But that's the way that the path went, you know. And I always tried to follow. I was in the country thing for a long time. And frankly, I got tired of being just playing country songs. So I was like, I've got something more inside of me. I got to rock and I got to do the Latin thing. So I had the courage to leave those bands. I left Rick's band. I left Asleep at the Wheel, which is a Grammy award-winning band, to follow my own path, you know. And it's great. I love it. I'm proud of what I do. It's up and down like any musician's life, independent artist. You know, there's days that you're like on top of the world, and then there's Mondays when you feel like a total loser and like, what am I doing with my life? You know. But in the end, you're doing what you love. You know, people see me now that I haven't seen in a long time, and they're like, "Hey, how do you still look so young?" I said, "Because I do what I love for a living."
Yes.
Also, I'm not married and I don't have kids. That probably helps.
Well, I totally agree with all of that you said. You have to take your path. You have to take the path less traveled or untraveled. That's no way
Yeah.
is paved for you. So usually that's the decisions that bring you most success. And it's like you said it has to be your genuine definition of success. So if traveling as a touring artist and not having a house or whatever is your ideal life, then do that, right? So don't
Right.
put someone else's expectations on pedestal and then be miserable. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that you hit on the key point of whatever you're going to do, you have to ask yourself, what do I want to do?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like what fulfills me? Like what would if I could do anything I wanted and money and all that stuff wasn't a factor, what would I be doing? Would I be traveling all the time, living out of a suitcase? Maybe so. Do I want to have a home and there's a way to strike a balance, but you have to sit there and your goals and your desires will change as you evolve and you mature and whatever, right? As life happens. But all you can do is do what's in front of you, what feels right in front of you at the time, and follow that. And then when that changes, have the courage to make you just adjust course through life. You know, these course corrections. You know, like I always thought. I was just talking to my brother the other day. I used to always have, and it still happens to me, like when the summer touring season starts coming around and festival season and all that stuff, and I see these bands that I know, they're playing all these festivals, and they're going across the country in a van and playing, you know, 3 o'clock in the afternoon here and then whatever, you know. And I used to think, man, I'm missing out. I'm a failure because I'm not doing that with my band or whatever. And then I sit back and I think, okay, right now, where am I at? I don't want to play in 100-degree heat 3 o'clock in the afternoon at some festival outdoors, throwing my gear on in 5 minutes, jump, play the 20-minute set, get off, drive to the next place. That's maybe I know I'm too old for that now or something. I don't. That's not what I define as success anymore. You know. In fact, I love this. One thing this quarantine has shown me. I love the live stream thing, man. You can get a little money made, and I didn't even have to leave the house.
That's true.
So yeah, it's flexibility, man. Adapt. You know, it's all you can do.
Yeah, true. So I guess finding your freedom in what you're doing, that's really, for me, that's the goal. So even if it
Amen to
means
that.
just doing live streams or touring or not touring or gigging or doing something else. So today it's limitless. The sky is limitless. You can
Right.
do anything you want, and it's like you said, from your own living room, you can just make music into the entire world.
Yep.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for that piece of
Thank
wisdom
you.
and for your awesome, awesome music that I'm just gonna be like now jamming to my whole
Well, cool. I like seeing your reaction to the tunes. You know, especially in the situation where I can't hear it. When you can see somebody moving, and you're like, oh, they're digging it. I don't know what they're listening to, but they're digging
Oh yeah,
it.
this is the type 4 section. I can tell.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that too. Like I'm into movement a lot. So when I perform too, I can't just stand still. Or when I'm listening to something, it has to flow through you, right? It's
Sure.
that kind of
That's
thing.
that's what it's supposed to be. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, guys. Go ahead,
Thank
find
you.
Hayden. His awesome music and his awesome new song that just came out today. So on his website at viterarocks.com, on Facebook /Vitera Rocks, on Instagram at Hayden Vitera, on Twitter at Hayden Vitera, on YouTube, look him up, right? Hayden Vitera, electric violinist. Find the
Mhm.
new song that just came out today, the Canción del Mariachi, with
That's
the
right.
Tequila Rock Band. Oh no, I'm messing it up. It's okay. Help me out.
Yeah, Tequila Rock Revolution.
Tequila Rock Revolution.
Yeah, and just Google that too, and you can find us. I've got accounts for that on Instagram and all the platforms as well.
Awesome.
So
Awesome. And we're going to close with another amazing piece, Subete. And thank you
that's
so much.
right.
Have an awesome day. Maybe we'll
Thank
have you
you.
back sometime when you have a new release. Let me know. I'd love to
I
have you
will.
again.
I most definitely will. I
Part
totally
2.
appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have an awesome day.
All right.